apparently that's your fault, Gordy. That's what Jimmy told me.
It is time, my guys. Welcome to the last two races of Praga Cup UK. We're at Donington Park, this time on the international circuit, so they're a little hairpin different from our races last time out. Last time out, we won and came fourth, which extended our championship lead. We now have a 19-point gap going into these last two races. And yeah, I'm quite aware of our position, of where we are. I'm not going to say it out loud, but here's what we need to do to win in this race today. Should be dry, it's looking fairly sunny out there at the moment, but qualifying's a bit in between. It's still a bit damp from the rain last night, so we'll gauge that as it comes. But a bit nervous. I think it's more just nervous energy, you know. I want us to get out there and start. I'm all suited, and we're going to get ready. We're qualifying coming up, and then we'll know where we are for the race a bit later on today. So yes, as mentioned, a little bit of pressure on our shoulders here at Donington. We go into the last round of the Praga Cup season as championship leaders, and we even have a chance to wrap it up in the first race. But qualifying was first in our thoughts, and it had been raining overnight, so the circuit was still drying and still wet in places, but we deemed it just about dry enough to use that slick compound of tyre. And to make it even more fun, the AM driver goes first in qualifying, and I had to get up to speed quickly, narrowly avoiding Ben Stone spinning on his outlap, showing just how greasy it was out on the circuit. Given that we had sat on these slick tyres for a good 20 minutes before going out, they were ice cold, so needed a couple of laps to come in properly before I could really start pushing. But it really didn't help that down at the chicane it was still pretty much wet, so you'd have a completely dry track and have to just baby through the chicane to avoid spinning and going off. It was pretty tricky.
I think we should get quicker towards the end of quali. We just went up to P2, which is really good, so he's doing a good job. He set up the car for more drive conditions. I think the car is going to come to us more and more.
And come to us, the car did. In the end, I set a time good enough for second, only a tenth and a half behind ex-British F3 driver Charles Hall, putting Gordy in a great position to go out there and try and get us in the front row.
8 minutes remaining, 8 minutes remaining. Get it out as well.
Go get it, mate.
Morning, mate. Jimmy, it's still slippery going into the chicane.
Say again?
30.4 my time.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's quicker than last year in the fucking drive.
Any damage to the car?
Is it us?
Say again?
It's not us, is it?
No, it's still going.
Looks like 84. Only 86 has done timed laps for both drivers.
Yeah.
Only one car's done timed laps.
So basically we've had a red flag because a couple of guys have gone off, but the problem is that I think bar one team, no one else has done the pro laps. So we're all basically qualified on AMs, which is alright, but the regs say that if you don't do a certain amount of laps, you can't start the race. So I guess that'll be at the discretion of the clerk, but a bit of a shame really, because that takes away our opportunity to get that pole position point. It actually gives it to Mattel, so they get an extra point now. But it's what it is, isn't it?
So yeah, just back in from qualifying. Jimmy went out, done a good job. He put us about P2. Of course, in qualifying, it's the average times of both drivers. So I was to head out and set my lap, but a red flag came out because of an incident with two cars just slightly into the gravel. They weren't deep in there, and ended the session. I don't know why. They didn't give anyone a chance to do any more laps, even though there was, at that point when the red flag went out, it was just under, halfway through the session. Yeah, it's a weird decision to make. but they ended it there, so no pros were able to get their times in. So the qualifying order will be in order of only the AM driver times.
And now it might be a couple of nerves now. Between you and me. It's a weird feeling this, knowing that everyone has done everything possible to ensure that you and your car are going to perform in the best way possible. And now it's down to really two people, me and Gordy. But standing there in the pit lane waiting for the race to start was probably one of the most nerve-wracking experiences of my life. Just tension. There's no force, just tension. It's great.
Andrew Wilson, our race winner, class winner and class champion as well in the A class. Just look at this, and it's the big two boys on top of the championship on the first row as well. So over to Dave to talk us through that.
It's the number 77 Mattel Cars entry that lines up in pole position alongside him, the championship leader. Number 87, the Fanatec Praga team car. Oh, problems already. The number 4, that is. Marshalling team in action at the gravel trap. Hopefully he can get going again.
And then just like that, it was time to
drivers in
race.
Praga's on the front row of the grid. Here we go, the pack is unleashed and down towards that first corner at Redgate they go. It's a good start by Gordy Much on the outside, a very quick sports car racer indeed in the number 87. He's taken the lead around the outside.
Start we needed.
Head bridle, number 84 coming through on the inside at the Craner curves into second. A flying start as expected by Ben Collins. Now that's not the car we normally see Ben Collins driving. He's up into third place in the 85, the blue and gold car. Scott Mittel rather caught napping at the start of this one. Oh, one car bouncing off the curb there. That was the 86 of 4s. That's allowed the recovered Rob Weldon to come through on the inside. Ben Collins, the former Stig, on top gear. Oh, and the problems there. That's Mittel. Spins around in the 77 car.
Just like that, our two championship rivals collide and Mattel is sent spinning off into the grass with damage, putting them to the back of the field. Now remember, we need them to finish 5th or lower for us to take the championship here in race 1.
Anybody else off around the circuit after that first lap?
What is going on, mate?
Whether that's because of debris on the track up there. We didn't see if there were any other cars involved with Scott Mittel. Looks like he's being sent back out again after that precautionary inspection by his Mittel Cars team. They're sending the boss back out onto track.
So you cheering on the very first corner. Gordy did his job.
He ran the outside straight away, so good for Gordy. I'm going to be just a cheeky for a second. Yeah, Gordy's good. Yeah, good for Gordy outside of Mattel and just pulled a bit of a gap. And Mattel's actually had a spin since then. It's now a lap down, so our main rival was a lap behind us, which is good.
Much leads it then from Ben Collins up there in second place. Jay Morton, the former SAS soldier, will take over from him. They're separated by half a second at the line. Meanwhile, I can tell you Scott Mittel has pulled back into the pit lane, so it looks like he may have damaged the Praga suspension there, the number 77. Yeah, they're looking under the right rear of the car. Ben Collins, what he wants to do here is get out in front and build up as big a lead.
But all was not well in our car. Gordy comes over the radio saying he thinks he might have damaged something in suspension. As you can see, he's having to hold the wheel at an angle to go into a straight line. The car was starting to crab going down the straights. Despite this, Gordy somehow managed to fend off a Stig and set the fastest lap of the race. The problem was getting progressively worse as the race went on, and Gordy was having to work even harder to keep Ben behind him.
Putting Gordy much under pressure here, and Alex Fors is certainly putting Chippy Westmail under pressure for 4th place. Well, up the inside, Collins had a look there into the Melbourne hairpin. He came from a long way back. I wasn't expecting that move. Gordy much closed the door. Oh, is that a problem for Rob Weldon? Smoke out of the back of the number 4. In comes the number 4. Yeah, there's damage to the right rear.
So with both the number 4 and the 77 running far down the order, if I brought the car home in first, we would be champions. But with our suspension damage, I'd be lucky just to get to the end.
The 85 car pulls in, the 87 car pulls out, and Jimmy Broadbent head off back into the race.
Like stay off the curbs. Yeah. Wheels like that.
Yeah. I've been told him. Do you want to speak to him? Do you want to speak to him now? It's just left.
Praga R1, but meanwhile, Jay Morton is leaving the pit. Is he going to get out in front of Broadbent? Here we go. It's going to be very close. I think Broadbent's just about done enough. And the 87 car keeps its lead. The 87 of Broadbent and Munch leads the way, but the gap has come down, if anything, very slightly. Jay Morton has taken a few tenths of a second out of Jimmy Broadbent over the last couple of laps. So Jay Morton in the 85 car settling in very well indeed here.
Jay is doing the best he's driven all year.
Jay behind me was having the race of his life and was showing some unreal pace in the 85. But I was being forced to drive around at a slower pace with what would turn out to be a bent wishbone. The steering had got worse to the point where I was starting to crab down the straights. And coming out of the corners, the rear left wheel would lift up, meaning that I'd wheel spin. Even worse, I couldn't hit the brakes hard because every time I did, the car would lift up in a weird way and I'd lock one of the front wheels. The vibration got to the point where it was so bad, I genuinely thought that the rear right corner was just going to fall off.
If we don't win championship today, then we put ourselves in a good position for tomorrow. But it looks like we're en route for championship today. But there's another 12 minutes left, so it's not over till it's over. Something can happen in the last 1 minute, and there's another 12 of them to go. So 8 laps to go.
Jay was catching me hand over fist, but I knew we needed to win for the championship in this race. So I asked the car very nicely to please hold together and push as hard as I dared to.
Charles Hall, what's the gap this time? 1.73 seconds is now the gap. He's taken a second and a half out of him this time. Jay Morton is driving fantastically. It was getting a bit frustrating there for Jay Morton because he was unable to get past for around half a lap there, Dan Gore's car. So Jay Morton is going to have to do it all again to try and catch the race leader back up. The gap, 1.6 seconds. He's halved the gap. Jay Morton has halved the gap on this lap, and I don't think I see a last lap board. We might get another lap after this. Will we see the checkered flag this time? This is going to be close whatever happens. Morton closes in. Is the checkered flag going to be displayed? No, it's the last lap board. They are going to do one more lap. That's the last thing Jimmy Broadbent wanted to see. The gap is down to 0.7 of a second. Can Broadbent hold off Jay Morton?
2 seasons of racing with Praga had come down to this. Jay was charging, but I only had to fend him off for one more lap and we would be champions. My mind wandered to those who were there to cheer me on, my friends, my family, but only for a split second. I set my eyes forward, believed the Goldie would hold together, and gave it everything that I had.
Come out of the final corner, he can't quite get close enough. Jimmy Broadbent and Gordy must take their 4th win of the season. All credit to Jay Morton. What a fantastic drive for second place.
Hey, we're going to I've got a tumble dryer and a washing machine. Thanks. I know. Pretty good finish, isn't it? Dab that right on the line, but fucking hell. It's sinking in a bit, I think. But yeah, I mean, the adrenaline's worn off now, so like. Big sleep. I don't want to come in tomorrow. I'm just going to be pissing it down. I'll stay home, like.
Despite being congratulated by so many of you kind and lovely people who came along to support me and Gordy that weekend, it didn't really sink in that we were champions. Because Mattel finished 5th, they could technically score the same amount of points of us if we DNF'd in tomorrow's race, but it wouldn't matter because we would win on the countback. We have more podiums. But not believing it didn't change the fact that me and Gordy were champions in the Praga, and nothing, not even my own stupid brain, could take that away from us.
So today we actually have something we've not had all year, a sort of grid walk.
It's time to go. Praga Cup racing for the final time. The lights go out now and we're underway. It's the 87 and Jimmy Broadbent who takes the lead. A bit of a slow getaway for Jay Morton. And there's cars off into the gravel already. Down the hill, down the Craner curves they come. Good restart there by University of Wolverhampton car. It's that Chippy Westmail slowing down. There's damage to the right front. Jay Morton's gone through to fourth. Never mind that because Shane Kelly up the inside at Redgate takes the lead. It's all happening in the early stages of this final race of the season. Jay Morton I caught a glimpse of there off as well. He's spun. He sent somebody else over the infield. Time through. There is Chris Bryden. Certainly got the 87 in his sights.
Last stint of Praga, done.
There is the 87. There is our leader. Shane Kelly's probably going to leave it until fairly late in the pit window to make the stop. Penalty within your pits. Out goes Gordy Much. Very, very quick driver indeed.
Finished that race was a definite highlight. I really hope that if any sim races out there you think you can't do it, you definitely can. I'm not the worst one, and I can do it. So yeah, give it a go.
Here comes Shane Kelly. Here comes Much having a look into the Melbourne hairpin. He's going to go through on the inside. The lead is 8.8 seconds for Shane Kelly. The University of Wolverhampton team have done it. They've got Shane Kelly out in front of his protagonists Gordy Much and Ed Bridle. There is Ed Bridle. Looked like he was slowing there coming out of McLean. Has he got a problem? Oh, I've just had notification come through. The number 11 has got a stop-go penalty. That is for too short a pit stop. That's disaster for the University of Wolverhampton. Gordy Much will go through and he's in the lead. It's going to be a double win this weekend for the champions Fanatec Praga team. Through the last corner comes Gordy Much, coming in to take his second win of the weekend and the Praga Cup Championship for 2022.
Boy, it's a good year. It's a fucking good year, mate. Yeah, 50% win ratio. So, that is 2 years of racing with Praga done. It's the last time I'm going to drive this car. Probably the last time I'm going to see this car in this state, in this livery. And I don't know, it might be like a award show or something, who knows. Never escape these guys, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of end of an era sort of thing. And we end it as champions. You know, convincing champions, which is kind of insane to me given where we started at Anglesey a couple of years ago. I mean, like, when we started that, I was so nervous. I was so like, I didn't really believe I could do it. And I've said it before, but I'll say it again. There was like a pivotal decision that I made. I was sitting in a hotel room in Anglesey the day before the first test. I said to myself, I can't do this. I need to go home. I'm not good enough to do this. I can't go to the track. I said, well, if you do it now, you never get to go back. And then I'm glad I did, because here we are now, a couple of years later. So I don't know what lesson is there. You know, hard shit is worth doing, I guess. I think someone said that a bit more eloquent than me somewhere else. But I guess I also have to say thank you to Gordy for helping me become the driver that I've become. I've still got a long way to go, definitely. I know I'm far from being the quickest guy out there, but for a sim racer who'd never been on circuit a couple of years ago to now a champion here in 22 is insane. And of course, with a bit of help from Gordy as well. Guy's fucking rapid.
Yeah, whatever. I'll get you next time, Broadbent.
I'm trying to do this nice outro. Yeah, it's sort of sinking in a bit now. You know what I mean? Because you know, we've won races before and it felt pretty good. Yesterday was definitely one where it sort of felt unreal. Today it just felt like just us going, yeah, you know, we fucking did this. But so say thank you to Praga as well. They gave me an opportunity to do this. They trusted me with this, you know, a fucking full-blown race car, 200 grand carbon, completely carbon fibre aero machine. They went, yeah, let's put a fucking idiot YouTuber in that. And yeah, it takes a lot of guts to give someone that. So I have nothing but appreciation for that chance in Praga. I guess the last thing, so thank you to all of you guys, sincerely. You know, there's no way I'd have any sort of chance of doing anything like this. Not my wildest dreams if I had not had an audience behind me, supporting me. So many people come into all these races, and you know, with like handmade signs, people asking for photos, people just happy to be around the car. You know, that fills me with joy. Welcome to a racetrack. But yeah, it fills me a joy seeing that people can come and be this close to the car, and whenever, I like to think wherever I have the chance, I've helped people get a bit closer. So I guess I'll end off by saying that you may be thinking like, I really want to be a racing driver. I want it more than anything. That's what I felt when I was younger. It felt so out of reach, and somehow, like, I've managed to make it happen. I know obviously I've had a bit of luck on my side and things have gone my way, but there's nothing to say that you would hope to do the same thing. So yeah, thanks for watching, and champions. Fuck me.
Yeah, but still won, didn't we? So.